Hi everybody, it's me, Rockstar, here to make a tutorial about burns and bruises. I get so many questions on how I make it look so real on a daily basis. It's crazy. So why not show everyone? Okay, first thing I'm going to start off with is showing you the supplies and the tools that you all will need. Let's start with liquid latex. It's very essential for this. I tend to put it in little jars. It's easier to work with as opposed to trying to use the big jar. You also need blood, cream makeup in both red and black. You can also use purple. Red and black serves its purpose pretty well. Spirit gum for sticking down things. You need this skin putty. Definitely need this. It smooths out the edges for your burn or your bruise. Cotton balls are essential. You also need toothpicks or something sharp to create different blisters inside your burn. Concealer and foundation. You also need a little palette to put your paints on. Alcohol for cleaning your space. Lotion comes in very handy. When you're applying the latex and the cotton balls, you would like to keep lotion on your fingertips. It stops it from sticking to everything, creating a huge mess. You also need paint brushes for applying the paint to the wound. And last but not least, a smoky eyeshadow palette. These darker colors come in very handy for bruising. So that comes in handy at the very end to make that more realistic effect. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take some alcohol, put it on the cotton ball, set that down, and clean off the area where you plan on applying your prosthetic. I'm going to do it on my hand since it'll be a lot easier to work with. So I'm cleaning off the palm of my hand, well, top of my hand with alcohol. Make sure you get any dirt, any oil off. That way your putty and your latex will stick to your hand a whole lot better. So now that that's clean, I'm going to take small amount of latex, open up my container, have it in here. And I'm going to actually just use my middle finger and I'm going to tap it in there and I'm going to create a nice thin layer over my surface, however big I want it to be. So make sure you create that layer nice and thin, nothing thick. It goes on white, but it dries clear. So as that dries a little bit, you take another cotton ball and you start to pull it apart. And again, make sure you have the lotion on your fingers because it'll stop it from being so sticky. So you pull the cotton ball apart and you just place it over the latex that you laid down. Just little pieces at a time. You don't want it to be completely even. You want to create an illusion of a wound with deep pockets and things. So make sure you cover the whole base that you put down latex. Like that. And then you slowly just add more and more latex on top of it. At this point, put some more lotion on your fingers. And you can kind of pour it on your hand a little bit. But be very careful and move slow because it can get messy real fast. And you just take it and you move it around within the cotton. You can pour more, however much you need, until you get your desired effect. And as you're putting it on here and you're mushing it down into the cotton, it's creating different textures and layers within it. See, as you can see. So you put more latex on, and as you spread out the latex, once you get it spread to every angle that you want it to be spread on, wherever you want it a little bit harder, you put more. Wherever you want it to be a little bit softer, you put less. Then you take some more cotton and you layer it on top. And you're going to do that until you get what you want. Till you get the desired effect, till you get the right pockets. If you want to mold some spots, it's a lot easier to mold it now while it's wet. Can you see that? So it's a lot easier to mold while it's wet as opposed to when it dries. When it dries, you need to dig into it and kind of cut it. It becomes like rubber, and it's a lot harder to work with. So try to do all your molding while your piece is wet. I'm done adding to it now, where I want to be. So I'm good with that. And you're going to let this dry for about 5 to 10 minutes. Once it dries, I will come back and show you the next step. This is where we're at so far. Okay, so now that your little prosthetic piece is dried and you have this pile of gook on your hands, you can now take it and start molding it a little bit more and ripping it up to create depth and holes within your wound to make it look more lifelike. So I have toothpicks. I'll probably use a pair of scissors because, like I said, as it hardens, it gets a little rubbery. So if you want to take out bigger chunks, you're going to have to cut it. So you just start pulling it apart in different areas. Pull pieces down, not really caring how it goes. It's not completely dry yet. That's why it's moving so good. I like to do this before it dries because it's a lot harder to get the effects that you want once it dries. So you can pull some strings off of it, and that makes it look like the skin has exploded and it's hanging. It's just peeling off. So if you just create little flaps like that, you'll have that. Now that's like that. It's going to continue to dry as we move on to the next step. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take a little bit of spirit gum, which is this little stuff here. It's super tacky and super sticky. Once it dries, it's kind of hard to remove for at least a few hours. Warm water usually gets it off, or tea tree soap. Tea tree soap works great. Okay. So you take spirit gum, take a brush, dip it down in there, and you just wipe it around the sides, making it sticky and tacky around the edges. Now, you take a little bit of putty, just a little bit, this much, finger size, and you slowly start to mold that around the edges of your wound. This is to give it a little smooth out effect. You don't have to do it on all the edges, just where you have rougher parts, like different humps and bumps that you want to smooth out a little bit more. You put the putty around it and it creates a barrier. And the spirit gum helps hold the putty down. And again, working with that lotion, if it starts to stick, put a little bit of lotion on your fingertips as well. It'll remove that off of there. Once you've done that, now you can move on to the makeup part. So, shake up your foundation. Make sure it's your skin color so it fits you. Again, you want to make this as lifelike as possible. So, you start to just squirt that all over there. Take a cotton ball, and you can start to blend that around. Keep going until you've covered your entire wound. It doesn't have to be, perfect, but you want to make sure you have coverage. You will have to take your toothpick or your scissors again and go back and mold some more because you squished some things in the process of patting down your foundation, but it's okay. Like I said, it doesn't have to be full coverage because you are going to go over this with blood and bruising. So you just want to make it seem like some parts of your skin has been blew off, which always sounds crazy to me. But yeah, you want to make sure part of your skin looks like it's been tore to shreds, like so. And what you do about the edges, you just slowly blend that into your skin, and we'll come back and revisit that because it doesn't have to blend perfect, but you want to blend it down into your skin. Move it around so it's not so many rough edges. Just blend it out. And I have mail. But go ahead and you blend that out and you blend it around. so it doesn't, you don't see any more makeup. Ta-da! Okay, so now that you've put on your foundation and your concealer and you blended it all in and made your nice little marks, what you're gonna take your little palette that you had before and you're gonna start putting a little bit of paint on it because you don't want to use it out of the tube. It's a lot easier to get to. So put your black and your red on your palette. And you take one of your brushes, either size, depending on what you want to start with. I usually start with the red because that way it won't blend in with the black all over the place. So I take my red and I start off in between the cavities. Start off in the deepest spots and you spread it around as much as you can. I want people to think that I really blew my hand off or I really burned myself with battery acid. You always want to have that effect. So there you have it. Put the red in certain places. Now you grab another brush, usually with a finer tip, such as this, and you take the black, and in your deeper crevices and cavities, you put the black in, and it creates depth. And when you mix it with the red, it gives it a burgundy-ish color, so it looks kind of like dried up blood, which is pretty awesome as well. And if you lightly drag it around certain spots, it'll create bruising effects as well. When the black and the red mix together, it'll create a bruising within the wound. So that's always something that you can do as well. Awesome, right? Pretty cool so far. Yeah, you just keep playing with that, with the paint until you get your desired effect. Keep adding it on, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have my blood spread all across. I have my blood mixed up in there. I have my depth for my deeper wounds. Bruising. That's the cool part too. So what you do, you take your smoky eye palette. I'm using, I don't know if you can see it, Cosmetics. They're a pretty nice brand. But I use it a lot for pretty much everything because the tones and the shades are really good for bruising effects. So I use this deep plum color right here. Take a little bit of that, tap it off to the side, and I lightly dust it around my edges. Right around where your paint stops. That's a nice little touch to add to it. Little bruise, little bruise. Okay, now for the fun part. Blood. I love this part. It's the messiest part. So, what you do? I always put my blood, I reuse this bottle a lot. I put regular blood in here because of the dropper bottle. It makes it a lot easier to dispense. So, what you do is you slowly start to put it in your deeper wound. And slowly move your hand around. Give it some movement. And if you hold it upside down, it'll start to move. Take a brush, move the blood around a little bit so you can get coverage in certain places. A really small brush gives decent movement. And then you slowly just let it drip and let it drip. And there you have it. Your super nasty, bloody, gory burn. If you want to make this super disgusting, you can always crush up Alka-Seltzer tabs and put it inside before you put the blood. And when you put the blood in there, it bubbles up and it looks like acid burn. Pretty dope too. So there you have it. Your burn blister. And I'm Rockstar, the Gory Goddess, aka the secret weapon. See you next time.